Hello, everybody. This is Nanette Kennedy with Humanities Team and Evolution Revolution. And this is our weekly book discussion group. Right now we're reading The Essential Path by Neale Donald Walsch. And we're on chapter 22. The title of the chapter is The Ideas. And I'll let Linda in just a second tell you what page that might be. And anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. Linda.
Okay. So it keeps kicking me out of Zoom on the computer, so I can't see anybody, but I'm on the phone. Okay, we are on page 76, chapter 22, The Ideas. We said early in this exploration that ideas are important. We said it as ideas that create beliefs, beliefs that create behaviors, behaviors that create experience, and experience that creates reality. So let's look at some of the extraordinary ideas that could arise out of a decision to declare ourselves to be, one, spiritual beings manifesting physically, and two, one essence manifesting individually. And see if these might not be of some of our most wonderful ideas ever. In my view, they certainly could have a positive impact on our individual lives, and if embraced at a level of critical mass, on our world at large. Now, you may think that reaching critical mass, getting to a level where 1 out of 10 people become early adopters, and add to what Everett Rogers, a professor of communications studies, called the diffusion of innovation, is unlikely to occur, but may even be impossible to achieve. Yet we noticed that not 1 out of 10, but 1 out of 4 is now estimated to be using Facebook. This new behavior was adopted by 1/4 of the human race in what cosmic terms would be considered the blink of an eye. And so it may not be so impossible after all for the understanding and then the expression of our true nature to reach critical mass. When people see clearly the accuracy of this understanding and the benefit of embracing it and acting on it, a huge snowball will begin rolling downhill. If human beings simply decided that we are both spiritual beings and one being, our ideas about life could include these. 1, life is an experience with a purpose greater than mere survival. 2, everything that is occurring both in our individual lives and in our collective experience is serving that larger purpose perfectly. 3, our experience of life is controllable to a much greater degree than we might have imagined. 4, every event brings us benefit in some form. 5, it is not required for life to include suffering. 6, there is more going on here than meets the eye. The process of life is a process of our soul's evolution. This has nothing to do with worldly happiness, although worldly happiness is the inevitable product of the soul's evolutionary progress. Our ideas about ourselves could include these. 1, hang on, I got a cough. 1, we are in no way separate from each other, and we are all individuations of divinity, unique singularizations of the essential essence that is called by some people God. Each of us an expression of the divine, even as a wave rises from and is an expression of the ocean. 2, we are all, because of this, wonderful in countless ways. 3, we are all capable of being everything we choose to be. not to be confused with everything we choose to do or to have. We are all capable of being unconditionally loving, totally conscious, fully aware, truly understanding, profoundly wise, abundantly clear, endlessly patient, wonderfully compassionate, completely accepting, invariably kind, consistently helpful, remarkably inspiring, and in a word, divine. 4, we are all capable of living within the limitations and definitions of normal human experience without encountering prolonged unhappiness, confusion, hopelessness, or despair by simply treating each other differently. Our ideas about God could include these. 1, God exists. 2, God is the essential essence in all of creation, which could be called, to use human analogy, the stem cell of the universe. That is, the undifferentiated, pure, and eternal energy that is the source of all creation, all wisdom, all understanding, all intelligence, and of all love. And that may shape and form itself into countless and limitless physical or metaphysical manifestations, including every sentient being in the cosmos. 3, there is no separation between the Creator and the created. Divinity is found in each of divinity's creations, as God is the all-in-all, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last, and is therefore absent from no one and nothing. 4, in God, there is found love for each of us and everything in life, without condition, without limitation, and without a requirement to receive anything in return. 5, in God, there is no need for anything, for in God, there is lack of nothing and a yearning for nothing, since God is the source and the creator of everything, and anything of which desire could even conceive. 6, in God, there is no judgment, no condemnation, and no punishment for anything, given that we cannot in any way hurt, damage, injure, or anger that which God is. In God, we find the freedom and the power to create our own internal reality of the external events, occurrences, situations, and circumstances of our lives. 8, in God, we find the essence that we call love, which is the best single word definition in every human language of divinity. And in God, we can feel that essence embrace us and strengthen us whenever and however we seek that experience. 9, in God, we find the perfect freedom to create what is our will to create. And in God, we can experience a personal relationship of oneness and unity, singularity of purpose, desire, and intention. And finally, our ideas about what happens after death could include these. 1, we never stop existing, but will go on living forever and ever in whatever form we may choose. 2, We will be reunited with everyone we have ever loved. 3, we will remain united with those who live after us in their present physical form. We will feel their love and they will feel ours. 4, we will experience nothing but joy, freedom, total understanding, complete awareness, absolute serenity, and endless bliss with the fullest knowing of anything and everything we wish to explore available to us at the speed of our thought. 5, we will be given the choice to return to the physical life we just left, and we may choose to, offering ourselves the opportunity to experience even more fully any aspect of that specific expression or of the soul's overall and eternal agenda. 6, we will be given the opportunity to return to physical life at another place in what we call time and in another expression that we will call an incarnation. And we will do so proceeding with the joyful and eternal purpose of life itself, lifetime after lifetime, as we endlessly expand our experience and expression of who we really are. 7, we may choose to move through succeeding lives in loving companionship with one whom we have loved in our previous physical experience as soul partners forever. You may have difficulty accepting some of these ideas. They may be different from, and may actually violate some of your own most deeply held beliefs. On the other hand, you may agree with or all or most of them. Either way, just for the intellectual excursion of it, just for the mental exercise, you are invited to take a moment to deeply explore all of this, and then to ask yourself, what do you think would happen if humanity as a whole embraced these ideas? Do you think we'd be better off or worse off than we are now? What, if anything, do you think would change? End of chapter.
Thank you, Linda. Well, that is a great chapter to give to somebody that you're trying to explain what conversations with God is all about. Who would like to comment or ask a question?
I'll comment that that last number is true, because that is my personal experience of my life. I came into this form because Paul agreed to come into this form with me. I wasn't going to come into this life without him. And so I have an absolute personal experience of what this book is talking about and what this chapter is talking about.
Yes, this is a really good chapter. Anybody else?
Yeah, I would like to get Linda to explain a little bit about Paul and your mutual decision to incarnate, like you weren't going to come here without him. I want you to explain that if you could, Linda.
Okay. So, so my memories start in the void with conversations from the council. That's what I refer to them as, or think of them as. And there were 3 distinct entities that were working with me, asking me to come into form, into this life, into this time slot, to do something very important. And I wasn't interested. Like, I was done with this world. And it took a lot of cajoling and conversations and insistence on their part that it was necessary, that I was the only one that could do this. And it wasn't that I requested Paul, it was that Paul offered himself up and said, I will come. And at that point, I said, okay, because the opportunity to have a lifetime again with him it outweighed, the joy of doing that outweighed what I perceived to be the miserable experience of what I was being sent here to do.
And
so that's, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I never find you miserable.
No, but at that point, what it looked like to me was what they were asking me to come and do was do this big job, do it alone, and it didn't look like it was going to be easy or fun. And, you know, if you if you look at it through the 3D lens, it's a kind of miserable place we're living right now, right? So it was a matter of, you know, it's like, come on, guys, I've learned all my lessons. I did the thing, you know, and I wanted to go do something else. But it's like he said, you know, we have the choice. We can decide to come back. And so that was, I was done. I didn't have to. And so that's, you know, so that's my memory. And then I was awake the entire time I was in my mother. And even after I'd made the decision, and even though I knew that he was going to be waiting for me here, once I got into my mother, I couldn't stand it. Her environment was horrible. And so I tried to bail out, and I grew a tumor. I hid behind it. They thought I was dead. So I ended up being like an emergency C-section because I was 2 weeks overdue. And, you know, in the operating room, they think they're doing a stillbirth. And so they're not prepared for a live birth. So they open her up, they find the tumor. They realize, oh, okay, there's a tumor. And then behind the tumor was me. And they thought, you know, everybody thought I'd be dead, but I wasn't dead. And when I opened my eyes, the nurse that was like standing right there screamed, fainted. It was chaos, you know, to the point where they never wrote down my birth time. They had to do that later. They had to fudge it later. So, you know, and I looked around the room. I expected him to be right there. That was, I thought, that he was going to be right there. And so then I had, you know, I had to deal with going through life, figuring out, where is he? When is he going to show up? And truly, I had stopped looking. I had given up. And then I married him, and it took me 9 years to figure out that that's who he was. That's probably more information than you wanted, Shabana, but there you have it.
No, it certainly isn't. It isn't at all. And I can't imagine this steward is a miserable place because you post all those lovely photos. you're talking about spiritually.
Yeah.
How's your book doing, Linda?
It's it's okay. It's sitting in boxes. You know? Just because you get the divine download to write a book doesn't mean you're going to get the divine download to sell the book. Two totally different things.
So when does your A Course in Miracles start? 11 o'clock your time is probably 1 o'clock my time, immediately after this?
Yeah, it's pretty much, it'll be right after this. There'll be like maybe a 5-minute pause and then to get set up. And then
okay, well, I'd like to join.
Okay, well, let's go back to book club and we can talk about that later.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, this is not a conversation between me and Linda. Everyone loves you, and this is very valuable. So, I mean, we're still in book club. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabana.
For explaining this. It means a lot to me, and no, it was not too much at all.
Okay.
So at the end of this call, will you tell us about the Course in Miracles?
You can do that, Linda.
Yeah, and it's going to be through Facebook. I have a group called Love by Light. You can look for it and join. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to live stream. I'm going to read a chapter. And then once a day, I will post the lesson. There's 365 lessons. And people seem to think that that's what it is. But there's actually a book that goes with it. And so I'm going to read the actual text every Sunday. And then we will do my plan is to try and publish one lesson every day. So, because that's how the
what is it called again?
A Course in Miracles. Oh, Love by Light.
What is it called? Love by Light?
Love by Light. Mm-hmm.
I like that. And how do I find that?
Just go on Facebook and search for it.
Okay, thank you.
So,
And light, by the way, in that group, the word light stands for luminary initiates gathered here together.
Oh, that's cute.
yeah. So I would like to join, but I'll have to do it through my roommate because I don't want a Facebook account anymore. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, how long is it going to take you to approve my roommate as a friend?
No, it won't take long.
Like, how long will you be able to get me on the call today?
It doesn't start till next week.
Oh, I thought it was immediately. Well then, I'll be quiet.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I think it's pretty annoying that it's all spelled out here because it's taken me a whole lifetime to figure all this out.
Well, I was just going to say that, I'm still in this physical rehab place. And I've been talking to a handful of people about conversations with God, because when you're in a place like this, it has everything from senior citizens and hospice and dementia to the youngest person here is 38 years old and tried to take his own life by jumping off of a building. And it's funny how people just, without me starting the conversation, people will come to me and start talking to me about some of the things that we discuss here in this group. And I really believe this ideas chapter is a really good chapter for somebody who's, they're already feeling on their own the messages from Conversations with God without having read it. Things like we can't upset God, and God is an all kind, loving God. And so it's been a very interesting journey for me when I'm talking to people, and they kind of look at me like, that's really weird. That's kind of what I think. And so anyway, I think this ideas chapter is a good chapter to give to them, print it out and give it to them and just say, this might, make sense to you, and, you can decide whether or not you want to go further into CWG. So, over.
That's very flattering, isn't it? When people come and are so eager to share.
It is flattering, and it always catches me a little bit off guard, because I will have been sitting there thinking about something with the book discussion group, or with, something from one of the Conversations with God books specifically. And then somebody will just come up to me, like today, this 38-year-old young man came up to me and said, Nanette, are you into spirituality? And I thought, wonder what in the heck made him ask me that. And I said, well, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. And so we talked for about a half an hour, and he was saying that, he really believed in a lot of the things that we all discuss here every week. And you could tell he's just young enough where he's a little bit hesitant to share what he believes. And I said, his name is Anthony. I said, Anthony, there's nothing you can share with me that would make my eyes pop out of my head, or, I said, and he believes that he's been getting these inspirations. Oh, somebody came in behind me and scared me. So I just said, you can make these choices in life that you might think that other people may disagree with or whatever. But you know what? If you feel comfortable with them yourself, then you're on the right track. And anyway, it is flattering, and it's an interesting set of travels here. Over.
Well, what's really interesting about it is it's such an example of the morphogenic field, or the 100th monkey theory. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, but you might want to go ahead and explain it for those who are not.
Well, to make it really short, in a land far away, there was a bunch of monkeys, and one monkey decided he wanted to go down to the river and wash his potato before he ate it. And so he kept doing that, and all the monkeys looked at him like he was crazy for a while. And then another monkey thought, well, maybe I'll try it. And the other monkey went down and started washing his potato. And when they got to the 100th monkey, another tribe across the land in another part of the world started to wash their potatoes before they ate them. So the theory is critical mass, that when morphogenic field is when enough people think a certain way about something, that it creates a field about that generates and puts itself out there and reaches further other people that think like that.
That's a good way to put it, and it's funny that you bring this up, because I was thinking about this today after I spoke with this young man, and reading, the Conversations with God books that we have already read, and many of them are 20 years older and a little bit younger. And Neil and or God mentioned that, you know, someday people will open their eyes and their hearts and their ears, and they will believe in the stuff that's written on those pages. And so I was thinking about that. You know, it's like, just because it hasn't happened overnight doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Over.
Nanette, I am quite impressed by what you just mentioned about the young man and all the horrible experiences you've been having and how you still got 4 more weeks to stay there. I know this sounds really heartless and cruel, but in my own life, I've found that the stuff I truly, truly hate and want to get away from turns out to be the biggest blessing. And when I look back on it, I'm kicking myself thinking, no, why wasn't I grateful?
I've been going through that a lot, Shabana. You wouldn't believe it. It's like there'll be a couple of rough days around here with, you know, some of these people are literally quite on the edge of reality, and they're not happy, they're suffering, and those some days I feel like, oh my God, this could push me right over the edge, and then the very next day I'll see the blessing in it. You know, it's like I just have to understand that we're all, it's like a little city. I mean, there's probably 80 people that live here, and it's just a microcosm of the macrocosm, and you need to really quickly to be accepting and patient and kind as possible, to be able to live in a situation like this without thinking you might be losing it. And I'm grateful. I'll think about, you know, this woman who just turned 99 years old, for example, and she's got the story of her life that she typed up outside of the room that she stays in, and it just brings me and anybody who reads it back to the point where everybody in this building, no matter what their condition is, has a story. And even though they may be 99 or 103, as another woman is, they still have a past, and they still had this, and some of them are not real happy with life, and some of them are kind of angry. But you know what? Everybody's got a story, and around here there's a few people that I hang with a lot, and we'll say things like, look, under the category of FYI, I wonder what is up with that person. We learn about the people that live here, and we are able to, you know, breathe in and breathe out as a group of people and say, we can all make it through this. What, you know, for those of us that are here for the short term, we have to stick together, because sometimes you feel like you're going to go nuts. And anyway, it's been a real blessing, as you were talking about, Shabana. And sometimes it doesn't feel like that, but most of the time it does. Over.
Well, now you've really got me curious. If you could take a picture of the 99-year-old's
Yes, I could.
And send it to me. I'd love to read it, because we're all 99 years old and we're all in a home, except we don't know it.
Yes, I can do that. It's not terribly long, but it's enough to remind you that everybody's got a story, you know, and I'd be happy to do that.
Well, I'm very, very grateful for that, Nanette, because I'd like to share your experience just to lighten your burden. if I could.
That's absolutely fine. And
No, but you know what I'm saying is that
yes,
it's very lonely, and you're obviously radiating upliftment. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so popular.
it's
Boy,
been an,
those places need all the light they can get.
yes, it's been an interesting journey. And, you know, sometimes people will be, you know, angry or whatever. And the fact is, you have to remind yourself, and it's something I say over and over in my head, is everybody's got a story. And that's just keeps me grounded in the idea that we are all one, no matter what the circumstances are. And as Anne just said, when you're talking about a nursing facility in particular, that's not just for the elderly. There's a lot of different personalities that come together. And I'll tell you what, you guys, it really makes you love people unconditionally, whether you know them very well or not. And I am writing a book about this, and it's about all these different people. And I mean, there's a young man that's 45 years old here that was abusing drugs, and he was without oxygen to his brain for 14 minutes. So he's got severe brain damage, but he is a nice guy, and he can barely see, but it's funny what he sees, quote unquote, because he's aware enough, like he can recognize your voice, and he wants to be part of this community, and he is. But enough about that, because I don't want to take up all the time, but I will keep people posted because I am writing about it. Over.
So it's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh my God, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because a couple of times I've said, oh my God, you guys, it's one feather away from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And, you know, and some days are like that. And you feel like every other third day is a full moon. And so you just realize that, you know, some days are better than others.
Well, that's quite a story, and I'm looking
Isn't that the truth?
for your book.
Yes, I'll ping you all when I get to the point. And I'll share with you the first line of the first, they're short stories, but the first line of the first short story is, not unlike abandoned vehicles alongside a barren road, sit many an empty wheelchair lining the halls. And then I take off from there. So I'll keep you posted.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can I share something?
Sure.
Yeah, because what you have read and your talks wakes up so much in me. And I started think sort of I should say something like that. No, I can't, because I can't stop if I start, because there are so many things. But I was thinking, one thing that came up. I was walking in the forest. I'm walking every day almost now, because it's summer is soon over here, and but it's so beautiful and it's so peaceful. And today and yesterday when I walked, I felt like a little ant. Only I was just a little animal walking slowly, like I could feel the feeling of being that little ant. Ant is the name, isn't it, of these small animals in the forest. It was, and then I was like a bird. I was just up in the sky, and I don't want to go home. I wanted to stay in the forest because I felt one with everything. And that is very much what I've done since I was a child. And then when you were talking, something came up, and that was when my father was sick. He was 45 when he died. But when he got sick, and when he was lying in the room, the people who were lying in the same room, they got healthier. Some of them got healed, but not he himself. The only thing he said to the doctors was that I want to follow my daughter. And he didn't, because he had to leave. He died. But they were so amazed by just people who were in the same room. They became so much better. He influenced them in such a vibrational energy. And then my mother became almost 99, and she meditated into her last breath. And when he was on the elders' home the 2 last years, everyone loved to be with her. And she was so important for all of them because of her way of being present. And so I brought her to India first time when she was 72. And she loved that. Anyway, she followed me for so many years. And then also when you're talking about people, I have been working with drug addicts rehabilitation, with meditation and deep listening circles. And there were so many stories. To listen to all these stories was amazing. And as I've been working with these circles in many situations, but especially there, it was so amazing. And when you said something about that, I don't know, but I was so touched by all these stories and how people are longing for coming together, and how this drug rehabilitation was very special because they had meditation as a fundament, and how they woke up and started to love each other and united in a way that was amazing. And I have written so much during my life. I've written so many things, and it is like it's just, I was reading part of it yesterday, and what do I do with all this? As you said, I think, Linda, you said, to write it's coming channeling down from somewhere, but it doesn't mean that you give it out or sell it. I don't know what to do with it, but there are so many. I have written for so many years, and it's so profoundly beautiful. And it's guided from within. It's not something I have thought out. It's something that has come from within. And it unites with this. That's why I love to be here, because I get confirmation by listening to this. And if we can be part of a small, even if it's a small group of people connecting on this frequency, we are supporting the vibration to uplift on the planet, because it's quite horrible to see what's happening at the same time as it's meaningful to be in circumstances like this. So I will say thank you for holding this. And that was a little what came up in me.
Well, thank you, Bima.
Thank you.
That means a lot, I'm sure, to everybody on the call. And I am vastly grateful for this group. Whether there's 6 people on or 16. Because in the sharing, we're with a group that's like-minded and understands, so that you don't have to always explain yourself. And the fact that we're, one of the sayings I like is that we dare to go naked with each other. We're not afraid of each other. We're not self-conscious of ourselves. So you bring up a lot of good points, and I really understand what you were saying about the ants. I was actually talking to a woman here about how, outside we leave the insects and the things that might be bothersome if they're indoors, we leave them to be outside and be free. But we were laughing because we both kind of have fears of spiders. And we tell the spiders, please stay outside, because if you come inside, you might meet your maker and be reincarnated sooner than you want to be. But there's a lot of really beautiful things that can come up when you're out in nature, and even indoors in this place that I'm at. Over.
Thank you for that feedback. And yeah, I understand you. I feel like I am with you in that place. I feel connected to you, and I would love to be there for a while.
Well,
yes.
What's really funny, Bima, my roommate is 82 years old, and she's from Norway.
Wow.
And she's been I've been listening to some of the things that she says. I don't have the language down, believe me. But her daughter's in here quite often, and her daughter's 55 or so. But she's a very devout young woman. And she brought me some Norwegian, it's kind of like a flatbread, real flaky crust, pumpkin and walnuts. And she said, well, your friend in Sweden will know what it is. Well, now I can't remember what it's called. So I'll have to remember, because she said it's a very popular thing in Sweden and Norway. But it's just delicious. I could put on the weight I need to put on here with that food. Anyway, so it's funny the connections you make when you don't expect them. Over.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay. Wonderful.
Well, Bima, you keep saying that you appreciate the groups, but I'm in at least 2 of your groups, and you uplift all of us. So I want to thank you for that. Or me for sure.
Agreed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Shabana. You uplift me. And all of you here. It's so amazing to be, and just to listen and I need those mirrors to not give up, because I have been involved in so many projects and have been the center person in so many situations, which was giving so much hope to people around and for me, for life on earth. And then somehow it collapsed, but there are seeds being planted, and it's different than what I thought when I came in. But in my age, I don't want to start again. I want to be connected. I just need to be connected so I don't give up my connection inside, because that is wonderful. And actually, I must tell you that Donald Wolf was in Sweden once, and one of my best friends got very good connected to him, and I think he's initiated the humanities team in Sweden also when he was here. And the one that was running this drug rehabilitation center, he's a meditation teacher, and he has told me about the meetings with him. So that's magic. So there is some connection to Sweden.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah runs a lot of groups in Scotland, and she's saying, like you, Bima, that she runs them all and she's happy to just sit quietly here. Right, Sarah?
Sorry, I was muted. You're right, yes, I run so many groups, it's just lovely to sit and listen to this one. Quite right, Shabana, thank you.
And we feel, at least I do, I feel everybody's energy that joins these calls, and that's what makes it such a spectacular group of people.
Well, we do have to blame Mary for bringing them.
Are you okay?
Anybody else?
Oh, want to drink something?
Because if not, we're getting really close to the end of the hour, and I was going to say, Shabana, if you want to lead the meditation, we'll just close up a couple minutes early, because I think the time is short enough for...
Sounds good to me.
Okay, well, go ahead and you start whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Lord God, we're all here joyfully vibrating with each other's huge spiritual energy, because it is your will for humanity's team to bring us together every Sunday. And we thank you that Nanette is writing a book of short stories, because this is her opportunity to share the work she's done over all these years. We thank you, God, that Bima and Sarah and Megs and Linda and Mary and Anne and Angela and Nanette are doing all that they are because the lists that were read out today are very, very important. And we are happy to transmit this vibration everywhere we can. We combine our hearts to do exactly that. Amen. Okay.
Thank you, Shabana.
Thank you,
And
Shabana.
thank you, Linda, for reading, and thank you, everybody who's contributed to this call. I feel really good about this group, as I said a minute ago, but I just want to underscore that you are all very important to me, and I love you all.
Same,
Same here.
Thank you, Nanette.
yeah,
You're
same,
welcome.
Thank you, Linda.
everyone.
One housekeeping detail. We need to start thinking about the next book.
Okay. I
God, I can't
will.
believe I'm already through this book.
Yeah, this was a short one. And I can't remember, what was the last book we read before this one? Was it New Revelations?
Yes.
Yeah.
And have we
Yeah,
read Tomorrow's
New
God
Revelation.
yet?
No.
I think
I don't
that's the
think so.
next one date-wise, but I will look that up so that I have that at my fingertips next week.
What do you think it is? What did you
Tomorrow's
say?
God. Tomorrow's God.
Oh, okay.
Okay, everybody.
Okay.
Love you. See you next week.
Love you.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.